Walking Dead DARYL DIXON, Season 2, The Book of Carol, Episode 5. So, last episode really wrapped up a lot of things that I was really surprised to see. Isabel died, which as I've been thinking about it the past week and seeing the response from other people as well, I think it was a serious mistake to kill off Isabel. I don't know why they killed her off so quick. Again, as I said last week, it was almost like a replacement with Carol coming back in. Now we've got to get Carol in and get rid of Isabel. I don't like that at all, but her death happened last week. We also saw the death of Janae, so she's no longer the main villain of the series. It is now Laurent and his cult at the nest. So, going into episode 5, Daryl and Carol are now looking for Laurent, and they left in a car that they took from the place with the old couple. So they left in the car, and we're starting the episode out with Daryl kind of zoning out because of what all happened still with Isabel. And the car broke down, because of course it did. So they go off on foot, and you can kind of guess where they're going to go because there's only really one location, and that's in Paris there with that group of people that they met with Laurent last season. So Daryl and Carol are heading towards there. So meanwhile, while they're heading towards there, we cut to a scene of Falou and Laurent actually in that location, that little camp there. And we get to see Cadron actually show up to the camp and kind of present himself like, okay, I'm here to help. I'm here to be with you guys now. I have nowhere else to go. So I'm going to come here to you guys because Janae's dead. She was torturing him. His whole family's dead. And he was protecting the boy. He was protecting Laurent that one time. He's like, okay, you know what? I got nowhere to go. I'm just going to go to them. So he goes to them and tries to make good with them. So he's kind of taken in for this episode. Carol and Daryl, as they're on their way to the little camp in Paris, she kind of reveals to Daryl that I did make up a lie that I told to Ash to get here to you to get to France with his plane. So the truth is slowly starting to come out now in this episode that there's a reason I was able to get this guy to come with me all the way to France. So they make their way to Ash, and he's got the whole place boarded up now. So they get in there, and they realize Ash isn't there. So now there's this whole mystery of finding out where the hell Ash even went. When they get in there, there's one walker pinned to like a trap, and then there's like a guy who is literally stuck to the trap, dying. And he kind of reveals that like this guy, he like left, or he's not here now. And he came to find a plane. So this is a man who is sent out to go find a plane. And the plane that Carol and Ash came down in was seen by other people. So there was someone that sent out people to go find this plane. And obviously it didn't go well for this guy, but Ash is still missing. So as we learn that, I don't know if this is like a kind of like a cutback scene, just a little bit, like in the past a little bit during the night. But we see Ash running away from their location, from the plane. And I guess I don't really understand how he ends up near Madame Janae's like building, her place that she was staying at, but he ends up in that area. He ends up stuck inside of one of her cars that are abandoned there, and he's got walkers surrounding him completely. So as he's running, he tries to actually break out of I don't know why he tries to leave the car. I suppose he's going to get stuck in there, but he tries to leave the car before I guess all the walkers surround him completely. And as he's doing that, one of the walkers pushes the door shut right in his face, and he kind of knocks himself silly. So he's kind of got like a concussion or whatever's going on with him, and he's kind of stuck in the car now. So he's not dead or anything, but he's stuck in this car, and he's kind of all out of it right now. So Carol and Daryl have to find him now because they get to the plane and he wasn't there. So we get some more scenes with Cadron kind of being brought into the group. Falou's kind of interrogating him almost because it's like, well, this guy was kind of the enemy at first, so we got to figure out if you're even here for good reasons. Carol and Daryl make their way to this camp in Paris, and this is when Carol and Laurent meet for the first time. And obviously Laurent knows or at least lots of things about Carol. They both heard about each other, but now they're meeting for the first time. But unfortunately, Daryl is here to deliver some bad news. So we cut to a scene after Laurent has found out that Isabel has died. So now Isabel, Sylvie, all these people he cares about are dying. And Daryl then, after they get done having that discussion, he brings up, well, Isabel and I did talk, like, we would love for you to come to America with me. So he wants to bring Laurent and Carol. He wants to go back to America with both of them. And Laurent basically makes the statement like, oh man, I don't want to go. I don't want to go. I'm good here. I'm actually pretty happy here where I am right now. And, he doesn't want Daryl to die. He mentions that as well. So he's really being a little stubborn about it. He wants to stick around. And I guess I understand, but also, like, dude, you got people after you still. Like, it's not done yet. And that comes to be true here in a moment. But he's still got people after them looking for him to try and basically kill him to do this walker bite thing. So I wouldn't feel safe there. I wouldn't feel happy there, but whatever. He's being stubborn about it. Then we got another Carol looking at barn doors scene. Instead of barn doors, though, this time, while she's walking around the camp, she sees this kid. And from behind, it almost looks like it might be Sophia, but obviously Sophia is not there, and Carol is like having PTSD now about Sophia and her dying, and we got little flashes again of the scene that they redid. And then the kid turns around. It's obviously not Sophia. And she just kind of smiles. So this is like our third scene now of Carol basically doing the same thing. And I guess it's a little different than looking at some barn doors. But I did say last week, we don't need another scene. I think 3 times is enough. We get it. She's having troubles. We could still, I think we can express this in a way that's not the same exact scene again. We're getting it over and over. I understand Carol's having this PTSD stuff. Maybe don't have another scene. We don't need it. But Carol and Daryl, they agree they're gonna go and find Ash, and they also mentioned that Laurent didn't want to go along, and Carol's kind of like, I'm sorry that he didn't want to come. And they have a little touching scene of like, how are we still around after all these years? So Carol and Daryl need information. They need like areas and locations of the area in Paris. And they do know an area and some people who would know locations of where Ash could be. So Daryl brings Carol to the bar, basically the underground hidden bar that was in last season with Quinn. And the lady that was with Quinn is back once again. So we did see the teaser last week that she would be back. And she isn't back in this episode again. And she's basically an ally at this point. Like, she runs the bar. I don't know how she'll be next week, because there was a teaser next week of her doing some weird stuff. But this episode, for sure, she's not really an enemy in any way. She's not really hostile. And she really likes Laurent. She likes the kid. And she wants to help the kid as much as possible. We saw that even last season. So she wants to help Daryl. And she wants to help them, basically find Laurent. They want to find Ash and help him get out of there. So she thinks that Daryl's going to take Laurent with him. So they want information of where Ash could potentially be in this, this big area that they don't know much about. And then Carol, while they're in the bar, they do see some people walking in, some of her people. Now she's got some of her own people out there looking for a plane that came. So I'm assuming it's her people that ended up getting all stuck on the traps and dying or whatever at Ash's place with the plane, and they came back. But then there's some guys that walk in with some fuel tanks, fuel containers, and Carol realizes that, like, where did these containers come from? Where exactly are they from? And they mention that it is like Janae's old mansion place building that she used to operate in. So now they have a location of potential where Ash could be hiding out or stuck somewhere or whatnot. So we do get like a little touching scene here with Cadron trying to kind of, become good again, become the good guy now and help out Laurent. He's talking with Laurent a little bit. And then our favorite guy ever, Lasang, walks on in because he knows where that would be. I don't know why they didn't assume that Lasang wouldn't. Like, Lasang would very clearly know where this location is. Like, they're kind of like a connected group. But Lasang walks in. He wants to find the boy. He walks in with his sheep, and he wants to find them. So, meanwhile, Carol and Daryl are back at Janae's place. It's kind of abandoned now. It's kind of a mess. Falou steps in and tries to save Laurent, and he tries to kind of distract Lasang while Laurent and Cadron wander off and try to escape. Daryl and Carol, they wander through the building for a little while. They see a bunch of walkers and stuff, and then they look out the window. They see this one car with walkers completely surrounding it, and they're like, well, something has to be alive in there, right? So they start to kill all the walkers, and they make their way into the car. Cadron and Laurent do manage to escape outside of the building, and they get away from Lasang for the moment. And then we cut back to Carol and Daryl, and they actually manage to fight their way into the car, but they are now stuck as well because there's just too many walkers. And they find Ash, and he is still kind of all loopy and stuff, and they're just assuming he had like a concussion or something. I'm surprised he's like completely out still. Apparently he said he was in there for like 2 days. Kind of crazy, but whatever. But Ash is in there now. They're all surrounded, and because they're in one of Madame Janae's cars, they have some of her materials in there, of course. And Daryl pulls it out. He gets out of the sunroof, the roof that like slides open. And I mean, you could have picked off the walkers from there, but he takes out one of their guns with the serum stuff for the walkers to make them crazy and evil, like psycho walkers. He shoots it into 2 of them and then lowers back down and waits for things to happen. And then suddenly there's this blood splattering everywhere all over the car. It's almost like they're being shot at instead of being attacked by other walkers. This scene is supposed to be crazy super walkers attacking the other walkers. Now, they are using a tactic that Daryl did learn from last season when he was stuck and imprisoned by Janae. He saw that the walkers would attack each other when they're infused with this stuff. I love all the walker stuff. It's over the top. It's crazy. It's ridiculous. But you know what, man? I'm just glad that they're messing around with the walkers a little more these days, because having the same old boring walkers does get extremely old, and I'm just so happy that we're doing different things with them. And hopefully we do touch back on the variant walkers that we had in, the last season of the main show. That's going on back in America. They're picking items up and stuff, in France, at least in this area, it's like genetically altered walkers, and it's really strange. I love it though. I think it's cool. But as all these 2 crazy walkers take out this big group of walkers, so you have 2 super enhanced walkers, and they take out all of them, and then they rush their way into the car. They break in. Kind of understandable because they're super strong now and they're super fast. Daryl and Carol take care of them, and then they step out, and you could see like the cut up bodies of the walkers and their heads just kind of lying around the ground, just kind of moving and stuff. So they didn't really like eat up the walkers. They just like slashed up the other walkers. Very weird. So it's like I don't get how that is supposed to work exactly, but they just attacked the other walkers and shredded them into bits. So they bring Ash back to the shop where the plane is, and they realize they need a certain amount of fuel. So Daryl and Carol now need to head out back once again and find someone that can help them get some fuel. They do have a discussion about Carol once again needing to tell the truth to Ash about her lie to get there. So she's basically coming to the realization in this episode that she needs to tell Ash the truth now, because she is now here with Daryl and her daughter is not there. Right now he thinks that her daughter died, and he's just like, okay, well, she brought back a friend that she met or something, but in reality she just came there for Daryl, and she needs to tell him that. So while they head out to go find some gas, they do end up meeting Cadron and Laurent at the bar place. So they ended up going there to stay safe. So the lady that's now running it, I don't actually know her name. I don't remember it. I'm not good with names of characters who aren't around all too much. But she was in last season with Quinn. She's running the bar now. We saw her just a bit ago. And she's just having them there, chilling out. She's just keeping them safe. And Daryl reunites with Laurent. And then they get the fuel. So she's helping them get fuel because she wants to help the kid. And she wants to make sure that he gets out with Daryl. So she's helping them get fuel. So once Daryl and Carol get back, Ash is now really up and moving now. He's up on his own again. And Carol is just about to tell him about the truth of why she really brought him there, or got him to bring her there. But then she doesn't for a moment. She hesitates in this scene because it's kind of emotional. Like, Ash is kind of upset and sad that she couldn't find her daughter, but it was a really eye-opening experience to finally live again a little bit. And she couldn't bring herself to tell Ash, but that will come later in this episode for sure. But you do get a scene of Daryl and Laurent is kind of explaining why he doesn't want to go to America with Daryl. And we kind of touched on it earlier, but as he's explaining why, and he's very hesitant on wanting to go to America with Daryl, our favorite guy Lo Sang rushes into the bar area, and they are looking for Laurent, of course, so they rush off. and the lady running the bar, she helps Daryl and them escape through the little hidden tunnel that we saw last season as well. So Lasang finds it really easily. He walks in. He's chasing after Laurent, Daryl. Cadron is also in there as well. So they all get away, and they're now trying to hide out and get away from Lasang. So as they're going through the tunnels, Daryl ends up putting Laurent into this little hidden, like, fireplace-looking section here, hidden by a board. He's not really hidden that well, and I'm honestly surprised that we had a scene where Lasang literally walks right by Laurent with his whole group, and he doesn't even look in there. They did have that happen. But as Lasang walks by, Daryl and Cadron are now out there, and they're getting ready to fight. So Daryl reveals himself to Lasang, and they begin their stances, and they're about to fight. So we got Lasang and Daryl fighting, and then we have Cadron and Lasang's sheep lady here who's just following him along. So she fights him, and man, the fight with Cadron and his, the lady with Lasang here, kind of ridiculous. Like it's almost like a weirdly even match, and he's a big dude, he's a strong dude, you know that in this show, and it's just kind of unrealistic. I suppose he is kind of like injured kind of still because he was tortured, I guess, if you want to look at it that way. But for a moment there, he gets like stabbed by her and stuff, and then he just throws her against the wall. So as he throws her against the wall, she's kind of like knocked out, and then he walks away. Why are you walking away? Now, obviously, it's being done for a future plot. I get it. Okay, I do get what they're doing, but I think it's stupid. I think it is stupid. He knocks her against the wall, and he has no verification if she is dealt with, and he just walks away. He just leaves her there. Why? Why are you leaving her there? She's literally out cold. Do something. You got to do what Daryl's about to do. So, Daryl and Lasang are fighting. They have a little back and forth with the Lasang stick, and Daryl's fighting with his new weapon that he's got. And eventually Daryl gets the upper hand, and we finally see the end of Lasang. So Lasang does end up dying, but unfortunately, because of Cadron just walking away from the lady, she ends up moving at the end, and she's alive. So we're going to see her next episode, and basically the whole mission is going to continue on now, and she's more annoying than Lasang. And I really got annoyed of Lasang. He was freaking annoying. But, dude, I'd rather watch Lasang than her. But she is the one that was kind of pushing Lasang to go forward with all the stuff that he was doing to begin with, so obviously she is going to be much worse. Makes sense. But yes, she is now the ongoing threat because, of course, they just couldn't deal with them all. So we get the heavy emotional scene of Carol finally telling Ash about her whole plan of what she did, and Ash is not happy. He is super pissed off with Carol. He's like, this whole thing was just a lie. How am I supposed to feel about this whole thing now? Like, I felt real emotion going into this like journey with Carol and figuring out different things in his life and, trying to move on with, his son and all that. And now he's finding out Carol lied to him, and he's just super worked up about it. So before Daryl and Laurent make their way back to Carol and Ash with the plane, we got one final scene here with, the lady that was running the bar. She likes the kid, and she wants to see him be safe. She wants him to be safe. So she kind of says goodbye, drives off, and Daryl finally gets Laurent to agree to come to America with him. So they get in the car, and they drive off to go see Ash. So the whole plan, okay, everything's all good and happy, right? We're going to go and fly off with Ash, with Laurent, Daryl, and Carol. But of course, this is something I definitely did anticipate, is this little plane, it's not going to hold all of them. You had two people with Carol and Ash to begin with, and that kind of seemed like enough already. But then you have these two as well. It's like it's not going to hold them all. And that's the big cliffhanger of the episode, is the plane's not going to hold us all. It's not going to work. It's not going to happen. Now, I think they are going to try doing it in some way next episode, but of course it's not going to happen because they're not going to America yet, because the series isn't done yet. They're doing a third season, so they're not gonna make it to America. We'll see what happens though. What's going to happen here with the ending of the season, which is next week. Last episode is next week. But they're gonna end up in Spain somehow. If I'm correct, that's what I've heard for season 3. Is they're gonna end up in Spain somehow. Don't know what's gonna happen there. I hope it's a whole new storyline because I'm tired of the Nest stuff. Please let it end. Oh my God, please. I just want it to go. Janae should have been the villain. That's all I gotta say. She should have still been the villain. But nonetheless, they're stuck with the plane now, and you still got the Nest after them. I'm glad Lasang is dead. I got tired of him, but unfortunately, the whole issue with the Nest is still not done. So I'm not totally satisfied, unfortunately. But it sucks because, it sucks that I had to start hating Lasang. I'm sad that they made us hate him. Because I really did like his character at the end of season 1. I thought he was, this is cool. We got this American guy here in France here to help out Daryl get back home with the boat. It was really cool, right? He seemed like a really nice guy. Well, that all changed this season, and it's sad that his character ended that way, but, it just is what it is. He wasn't even one of those characters that, you like them, but you hate them at the same time, like a Negan, that a lot of people, they really like Negan, but obviously you hate the hell out of the guy during the Savior arc. But, Lasang's just one of those villains, man. He's just fucking terrible. He's just awful to watch. I hated watching it. And I guess, the actor did a damn good job because I genuinely hated that dude. And I'm glad he is off the show now. So, goodbye to Lasang. We'll see what happens with Ash and Carol next week. I'm sure it'll get all resolved. Maybe Ash will die. I don't know. I don't think they're going to kill Laurent in any way. I think Laurent is going to stick around for a while because they killed the other 2 nuns. They killed both the other nun ladies. They killed Sylvie. They killed Isabel. I don't think they're going to kill Laurent, at least as of yet. So I think the only character that has a potential of dying amongst our hero characters here is Ash right now. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. I'm so ready for the Nest stuff to be done. I hope it wraps up next week and we just move on to a new story in season 3. That's what I'm hoping for right now. I don't think it was a bad episode. There are certainly issues with this season that were not in last season. I don't think I'm enjoying this season as much as last season. I just thought last season felt more different and unique. This one starts to feel more like it's just we're just getting back into the normal Walking Dead issues from time to time, and now we're just throwing Carol in there and we're killing everybody off. It's like season 1 felt kind of unique and different and special with Daryl and finding this new place and experiencing the Walking Dead universe in this new area. Now it's kind of feeling like there's conveniences for characters like Carol surviving Janae and all this stuff. It's just, I don't think it's as good of a season this season. Maybe season 3 will be better. We still have a finale to watch. Maybe they can change my mind next week, but I definitely don't think it's the strongest. I actually like Dead City season 1 more than season 2 of DARYL DIXON right now. And I'm not saying that, again, this was an okay episode. I thought last week was okay as well. They're just not great, and I wish they were. It is what it is. It's not the worst thing ever. I've seen really bad Walking Dead. Have any of you watching this ever watched Fear the Walking Dead? Especially past season 3? Now that is some bad Walking Dead. Do not touch that show. It is a disaster. But yeah, this hasn't been the best. I do hope it gets better. I think it can, and I do hope they improve.